right, man. There should be always somebody you love, definitely. Yeah, that was Blur from 1994. Yeah, man, that was a trippy song. I heard that a few times back then. I dig the beat to it, you know. It's got a groovy little disco tune to it when it starts out. That, you know, those sounds, man. Great vibration to it. Really, I could care less what the song's about. I mean, I think I have an idea, but, you know, hey, to each their own. Yeah, and it's cool. We're all unisexual beings in the higher dimensions anyway, so whatever it is he's talking about, cool. I just remember, the only thing I remember about that band is Oasis was big around, or getting big around the same time too, and, you know, they had a few hits, Noel and Pete Gallagher, and I guess those two bands had a little bit of a rivalry, like a Stones, Beatles type of rivalry going on, like when those two were younger, starting out. I mean, I guess they had some problems with each other, at least that's what MTV was reporting, but who cares? All that shit's suggestive. I mean, all of it's true, and it's not true, and it's sort of true, and it isn't even true all at once. You know, when you're talking about egos like that, I mean, those guys are all friends at the same time, but yet they're enemies. A lot of it's played up for the press, you know. It's really true, but it's not. You know, that kind of thing. So, you know, but it all kind of goes without saying. But hey, everybody, how's everybody doing? I know it's a couple weeks into December now, but, you know, Mercury Retrograde was supposed to have started on, well, it did start back on, September 25th, and it's going until the 16th, so we're 3 days out from if it stays on the linear path it's supposed to, it's over with. I have not felt a single symptom from it. That's not to say I haven't felt like shit, because I'm old and I always do, but I haven't felt anything more intense because of it, and I haven't been hearing anybody talking about it at all. In fact, I would say this is probably because of the hard shift we went through. I heard it mentioned by somebody else talking about, you know, and it made me think of this, about that shift, right? Because I've been thinking how rough that was and talking about how rough it was, and they were like, yeah, this is pretty grueling. And I'm like, I wonder if that's why people aren't feeling this Mercury retrograde as much. It's not being talked about, and I'm wondering if it's because of that hard shift we just had, that it took so much out of us that it kind of like, it settled our bodies, you know what I mean? It settled our bodies to be able to handle a little bit more. And I think because each time that happens, our vibration gets raised a little higher, and then we're able to handle a little bit more of an intensity coming from things like solar flares and higher frequencies, higher vibrations. We're able to just kind of take it in stride like it's normal. So when we go through these shifts, of course, we're shifting into a higher level of consciousness. And our bodies, when we go through these collective shifts, right? Our bodies, when we're going through these collective shifts, are transitioning into a, you know, higher dimension slowly but surely. I mean, I'm not coming up with anything that sounds like brain surgery. I get it. But, it sounds like I should think I'm a brain surgeon or some great psychologist, but I've always thought that, and I've just never articulated it that way. I've never mentioned it on air, that, yeah, you know, all these shifts help us be ready for the higher dimensions, because, you know, we're able to handle a lot more energy coming into us in different kinds. I mean, I remember when we were getting our asses kicked years ago, before 2012 or around 2012 and a couple years after, people were, man, the stories that I was reporting on, people were feeling like they were going to crawl out of their body. We still have them now, but these shifts get easier and easier, except for this last one was a major motherfucker. I mean, that was one of them one in several year ones. Like I said, I hadn't felt anything like it since at least fall of 2015, and it might have been earlier in that year, or 15, but it's been that long. Somebody had mentioned to me that they felt one in late 19, early 2020. I don't know about that. It seemed like something was going on then, but I don't think so. Of course, you know, I had a lot of other things going on at the time too, not that would have mattered for me, but yeah, I don't think so. I think that they just weren't around for that other one, or you know, this one here. I mean, they were here for this one, but they were trying to compare the two. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I should turn my technology off, but I think that it'd be a good idea, though. This is just my opinion. I think that everybody should probably, if you haven't done already, I think everybody should probably take a...
Technical difficulties. Please stand by one moment.
Yeah, you might want to take some time and rest and relax for a few days. You know, maybe enjoy the holiday season. I just think that, after what we went through. And, of course, we survived Mercury Retrograde. It looks like most of us anyway. It's just time to pat yourself on the back and take, because we're going to need it. We're going to need us all. We're going to need that time. I mean, if what's going on is really what's going on, I would say that there's going to be more of these, and they're going to be coming fast and furious as far as these energy shifts. I've seen it one other time before during the halfway point of the convergence years ago, and we got them for years. I mean, we had them hit in years. I mean, people were having them individually. The individual shifts we get, which we were having at the same time, most of us is this collective one. Well, people were having those all the time, but we were also, like always, but more. And we were also having those collective ones. Oh man, we're having 4 and 5 of those suckers a year that lasted a month and a half on end. So you can imagine it was like half the goddamn time the whole collective was having one, almost, 40 to 60%, depending on which year of the time where the collective was going through one. Crazy ones where people want to crawl out of their body and stuff. And I imagine some of the new people awakening might have had that happen with this last one here too. I know some people that never feel any of these others that are ascended above it. Couple souls I won't mention, they know who they are, though. They're really great people, but they were going through some hard shit with this last one too. And it was also because this was a collective one, so they feel they don't really feel individual people going through these shifts, but when the collective is going through one that hard and an individual one at the same time, it made the perfect recipe for them to have an issue with it. And boy, were they, I'm telling you. And so I would say that if what's going on is really what's going on, these are going to be coming more and more because we need them to increase our tolerance to higher vibrations, body-wise, not just not so much mentally, that too, but body-wise. Right, the consciousness were there. I mean, let's face it, you were there or close to it, okay? But most of us are. I'm not going to, let me rephrase that. There are a lot of us that are, okay? There's not, a lot of people that will hear this, there are, okay? How do I word that just right? There aren't a lot of us out there, per se. It's about 4% of the population, which is pretty damn high, actually, I think. That's what I heard. I'm not even sure I believe this. I mean, it's good info that I got, but I have a hard time buying that it's that high. These people thought it was low. I'm like, yeah, well, comparatively, but man, that's 1 in 25 people out there. That's, good luck finding 1 in 250 when I was first coming through this shit. I mean, really, I'm not trying to play that old man thing when I was your... But seriously, that's incredible. If that's the case, that's nothing to be discouraged about. And I've mentioned that before, but the more we go through these, we get used to that next vibrational rung. It's like we're climbing a ladder to the next dimension, right? And with each rung, we have to vibrate a little bit higher. So we go through one of these, and this one was a rough one, both ends. Coming in and going out, getting us from the inside. We were having this go on. You got to imagine, we were having a consciousness and a physical thing going on. We were getting it from both sides this time, hardcore, heavy. And the first one like that, like I've said, that I've seen, 9 years. At least, maybe 9.5, but at least 9 years. Okay, it's been that long, really. And it's been hard, and I imagine that there's going to be more of them coming. With each one, it'll get a little easier and a little easier to where we're able to... Like right now, if we visualize two people talking in 5D, it looks kind of like a weird animated type of a futuristic type shit where from a sci-fi movie or something. And God, I can't imagine being in that environment, but we're getting used to actually being in that environment to where it's not a trip, it's normal. Right? It's normalizing it for us. Right? And that's what we need. We don't need to be in 5D thinking we're in... some 1976 futuristic scary movie like Logan's Run or some shit. It needs to just be comfortable for us and high vibrating, of course, but we need to be high vibrating with it so it'll feel fairly normal to us. Okay, that's kind of my roundabout way of saying it. I'm sure that I know a handful of people that could probably have articulated that in about 3 words, but I'm old people, and I'm a Blu-ray, okay? I ain't an indigo or one of these younger starseeds. I had to have 1 foot in old school bullshit Earth before the internet was even around or anything, and come up through that. So I'm getting there, though. I'm working on it. But I was wondering also, too, I wonder if anybody's had any, issues lately with feeling like they're kind of slipping in and out of linear time. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, feeling like maybe you were somewhere else for a weekend or something and you really weren't, or, I don't know, like, I don't know, getting these big long downloads that seem like you're somewhere off in the galaxy, you know, reciting an entire lifetime's worth of information or you know, about your existence. Just weird little things like time slips here and there, like thinking that it's only you know, it's 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and you've been up for a couple hours and it's 1:45 in the afternoon. And I mean, I know we can all lose track of time, but I'm talking like, you know, that's a pretty big fucking deal, right? I mean, seriously, unless something was really going on in your life that you lost that much time in a day, usually there's a lot of stressful shit going on. Like you're preoccupied with something big time, something a family member's going through or in the hospital or something. If you lose, it's one thing a couple hours, but please, from thinking it's, you know, 9:30 or so to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and just random, like not all the time, but just random things like that. Thinking you're somewhere else and you're not. Just wondering if anybody's going through any of that. Like you're kind of fading into another dimension but coming back, or maybe you're just sitting there thinking, and it's like you're picking up on somebody else's thoughts from some other place talking to you. Or okay, I'll give you a perfect example without quit beating around the bush here. This thing that's been going on with me and this collective of about 10 ladies from Pleiades, okay, that are different kinds of goddesses, and they all know each other, come to find out. It's becoming more and more real, like these are real to me. Like, I mean, really, like, this isn't made up shit in my head. Well, I don't think it is anyway, but I mean, the realization to me is that it's starting to feel like this could seriously be real people that are getting, and we're breaking through slowly to each other through that consciousness level. Because that's the way the Pleiadians told me, kind of in a roundabout way, that they, you know, some of them actually contact and find out about other human races around the galaxy. Or, you know, one Pleiadian lady did. That's from the etheric. That's how she used to study. They're taught to do that, and she used to study and tune in to other human races and find them all over through this equipment that they had, and through consciousness and her dreams as well, and meditation. So I feel like it's, you know, it'll get to a point where there's going to be a time where it's not just a telepathic thing, right? It'll start with that. Then it'll start with a vision, which I've had some of those already. And then it'll start with actual having them come down and you're like being with them in a physical form, or as physical of a form as you can get, right? Like a reality, like living next door, visiting them. You know, it just feels like things like that are going on. I wonder if anybody's ever, you know, in the last, say, I don't know, a few weeks or so since the end of that shift was going on. And, you know, and when Mercury started, you know, after Thanksgiving, perhaps in the United States, I wonder if anybody's ever felt that kind of, you know, and I don't know, it's just been kind of on my mind lately. Yeah. Another thing on my mind, too, and it just so happened, man, this happens, used to happen all the goddamn time, so it just so happens Lee Carroll brought this up. My man Cryon. Dude, the last time that happened, he was talking about, I was on this really AI kick about people that were all anti-AI at any cost, and I'm like, no, it's a wonderful thing with right people, with the right consciousness having it. The Pleiadians are all about high technology with the balance of high consciousness. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? And then I'd cry and rip them a new ass and was like, people, get real. We're going to need it to talk to extraterrestrials, some of these races. We're going to need it to cure some diseases. We need it, period. Because you can have all the consciousness in the world you want. You don't have any equipment to use with it. Big deal. You can have all the equipment in the world and all the technology. You don't have any consciousness. You're just going to trick yourself out as a race and become like the Greys and burn yourself out. You have to have one with the other, just like you have to have creationism with evolution. You can't just be having one or the other, being the one or just the other. They go fucking hand in hand. Okay? Otherwise, we wouldn't need anything like that. We could wave wands. But, you know, that isn't even how the creators of creation are. So, you know, we need both. We need AI in our lives and the right people to manage it and oversee it and make sure that it don't flip out. And I'm not going to go into them again. I went into several times how we're going to make sure that don't happen. Because there was still the concern that, Even if everybody good has it, what if it goes rogue by itself and starts getting into other computers and shit? And first of all, without any evil people designing it, okay, fine, sure. I'll play that game. Let's say it does. Well, we're going to have it monitored all the goddamn time. And all the time. And if it acts out, we're going to pop a cap in it. There. It's a longer story than that, but that's what we'll do. We need it, okay? And, okay, so back to this thing again with Lee Carroll here the other day. He starts talking, goes in on these soul contracts with people. There are people that are too scared or paranoid to do anything because they're on a soul contract. You know, and it's funny, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. People that are hung up on a soul contract, okay? Hadn't thought about it. And then it wasn't but a few days before he mentioned it, I started thinking about it again. I started thinking, I wonder if anybody still talks about that all the time, that they're under a soul contract. Because we used to talk about them on my show years ago a lot, of who they were on a soul contract with. And I believe in them. But he was trying to say, you can't take it too literally. There are people out there that think it means they actually signed a contract. They signed on the dotted line and it's binding somewhere, like in galactical cord. No, it's not. You've got to go with where your growth path wants to take you. You know what? You can't stay in something like that just because you think you signed a contract. If you're getting called to do something else, or you're feeling that overwhelmingness to do something else, do it. Do it. Don't be a dumbass about it and do it. But if you're doing it with the right intentions, and the only bad intention that you think, let's say you thought it was. Let's say the only bad intention was that you were breaking a contract, right? If that's your only bad intention, fuck it, do it. Because it's not a bad intention, that alone. All right? This isn't something where somebody's going to get screwed out of a bunch of money or property or, their spot at the dinner table up in the Pleiades. It's just not going to happen, okay? And, you have to make adjustments. There's no kind of judgment like that up there. You're not leaving anybody to hang out to dry by doing that. Okay? You're really not. It's just what it was meant to be. When you come down, you make an agreement, and you come down here and, hey, man, shit happens. You figure it out. And now, again, the way energy works, it's like a boomerang, right? It's not that it's the karma is not because you're an asshole. Nothing to do with it. It's because it's an energy. You get back at some point what you put out there. If you make up for it before it comes back at you, chances are you divert it. Okay, that's all that it is. It's not, that part of it absolutely has zero to do with the feeling behind what you did. Just like if you do something great, it can come back to you. Okay, it has nothing to do with the other. But people think they signed this contract and they got to stick with it. And yeah, you know what? If you're kind of a little apprehensive and you think that maybe you should, well, maybe you should, but not because you signed the contract, because you think you should stay in the situation, and that you may need to stay in the situation for your growth path. But he was talking about, it's not like that. Yeah, and I'm not sure I completely agree with the way he put it, but I love him to death. I think some agreements are made initially, but they're not signed and binding. And if that's the point he was just trying to make, then yeah, I agree with him. But I do agree sometimes there are deals to initially come in here. Of course there are. There are collectives here. But they're your collectives. They're your family. They're not your, you didn't sign a contract with these motherfuckers. But then there are people that I think you kind of made an agreement with, that come in, and they're different from your soul collective or your star family. That you don't diss. I'm glad I got that thought in there. I could just see somebody going, yeah, but what about your collective, your star family that's immediate? No, I'm really not talking about them. Because they're going to be with you no matter what. You're with them no matter what. It's not like you guys, they've got some kind of control over you and they're going to want to go do some shit you don't want to do. That's not what a collective's like at that level. They're already so far way into doing the same thing and, what they're into, that they don't, it isn't, they're not about to give a shit one way or the other, really. Okay, so and they understand too at that level. But
Messenger.
God,
You are now moving through.
Oh man, yeah. It's just it gets me sometimes. Everybody wants to take things so literally, but you have to make adjustments and switch it up a little bit sometimes. Look at what the Galactics have had to do. They have to make adjustments all the goddamn time with things because we're playing with linear time. We're playing with non-linear time. We're playing with all kinds of other entities and souls that have their priorities that are mixed in too. So you don't just have a clear path to anything. There are so many variables, that you have to consider at times. So just to maneuver around. So, of course, you're going to have to make adjustments. There are people that were going to be soulmates forever, and they never were. There are people that were going to be best friends for life, and they never were. There are people that were going to do this, that, and most of the time, it's because shit has changed. You can analyze it and go, oh, this person did that, or they did that. Yeah, I know, believe me, because that's our nature to do it. We get hurt, we say shit. Or we think things this way, and we look at it from a jaded perspective. And I know, believe me, I've been there a million times, but, that's what I'm saying. There's adjustments that have to be made. Just because you guys agreed to come in here to do what, and then you agreed to come in here to do what, though? See, that's the thing, too, and I'm sure you got to that point. I'm like, okay, so you came in here to do what? To help humanity? We all did. We all agreed to do that. I'm not talking about fucking saying fuck off to humanity and not helping more. I'm talking about whatever it is, some kind of contract that you guys made together to do what? Get married afterward? To what? I don't know, be together the whole time you were here, or if you're friends, always stay together while you're here and watch each other's back. I mean, what? Okay, so there's probably something I'm missing with that part of it, but, because that ain't the way I came in. I have a collective, but I didn't make any deal with any one person in particular. That other people I'm sure did, but I didn't, and so I don't know what is it exactly was going to happen for you afterward. You were promised a new rose garden up in Sirius A or what? Yeah, I don't know. All we can do is the best we can do, though. You know what I mean? And love each other and be there for each other. Now that we can do. We can be supportive of each other. You know what I mean? We can be there if we need somebody to talk to for a minute. We can answer questions for each other. But I just don't, I get kind of a little bit uppity when there's this guilt implication that gets put into shit. Like you should feel obligated to do a certain thing, right? And that shouldn't really be the case. You should feel okay about being who you are and not, now, I would consider somebody else's feelings. If you're in something like a deep relationship, though, and it's a matter of, you're not leaving for any abusive situations or you want to move on because you just want to move on, right? Yeah, I'd be a little delicate how I handled that and, think that when I would still, if you feel like calling to do it, you're going to have to do it. But I'd still, with a situation just like that, I would really give it exactly some deep thought and make yourself feel uncomfortable giving it a deep thought. You need to. That at least you owe the person. Don't have to let on to them, but, think it through and then make your move, what you got to do. But, don't be hasty with that. I mean, like I said, unless your physical or your mental psyche is really in a lot of trouble, then get the hell out. Oh, of course, but... that's what I would add to that as a disclaimer if it's something like a deep relationship. But anything else, man... I just, do what you feel as long as it's logical to you and as long as it's going to... Don't screw yourself is what I'm saying, yeah. I mean, don't be hasty and then, you really found out you didn't want to, you really wanted to stay a part of that person's life or you wanted to, still work on projects with them or whatever the hell you wanted to do or we're supposed to be here for together. Just think it through, but don't let that be the reason that you don't move on to something else, okay? Because you're not putting anybody in any kind of a bind. I mean, you're not leaving somebody on the battlefield wounded, retreating, okay? So, but we can still be there for each other, and you can still, don't shut a person out of your life like that. Don't be just like, oh, well, be an adult and be a good person about it. Be a good star soul like you are, right? I mean, unless you're in mental and physical danger from that person, no reason to have any hard feelings. No reason to at all. We're moving past that. We're ascended beings. We don't think that way, but and I know it's hard. And what Lee needs to understand, and what I need to understand too, is, him and I have both been him longer than me doing this for a lot of years, and a lot of younger starseeds are confused, man. Really confused. I mean, I never really was, but I'm an old ass soul that's also been in a lot of wars up in the cosmos. So these people, younger starseeds now, they're all old souls too, but not really, more like almost angelic ones. They're not really like old Star War veterans like me and like Lee Carroll was. And Lee Carroll, shit, he didn't wake up till he was in his 40s. I mean, I was 30. Well, I was always awake, but I mean, UFO contacts like he had with the Crying Collective. When was it? 2000? Oh yeah, I was 35. God, man, 35 before I had any contacts with them. And I was always awakened. All the shit on Earth I already knew about, all the bullshit, cabal. Because I've had people say that they were surprised to find out our government was like that, or that there could be a secret government, or there could be this, or the cabal, or the Illuminati, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bilderberg Group, you know, the catchphrases we love to use when we want to blame somebody for the world's problems. Yeah, those people, you know, those 180,000-year-old souls. You know, Pat Robertson, oh, he's gone. 700. No, but I mean, there were people that were surprised. None of it surprised me. Of course, I'd worked in government. So, but I knew it before then even, too. So none of it that surprised me. So I wouldn't call it awakening as much of a contact. Because besides the extraterrestrial thing, and there was no other part of me that was any more awakened. I mean, everything else that had anything to do with anything, I already knew. And I already knew they existed, too. But, I mean, I didn't have contact with them. It was a thing. I didn't know the Pleiadians per se existed either, because I'd never, somehow I was made not to ever hear that name, and my guide even told me, because a lot of people around the time, you know, around this time, this was at this time, a lot of people around this time that are starting to awaken to becoming the fact that they are Pleiadian. We have made it so where you don't hear our name, even if you're in the area of shows that are talking about it, that you haven't heard our name, or you don't remember it a second later until you're absolutely ready to. I was told that on a few occasions.